Alright, how's it going, y'all? So a few weeks ago, Synology did their 2022 and Beyond event, and I'm not gonna lie, it got me really excited for a few key features that I've been really waiting for, and just overall the direction that the company is moving in, and some things I'm really excited for. So this is going to be a bit of a recap of the event and also my impressions. It's a pretty long video and they've got a ton of breakout sessions from that. And it actually really reminded me almost exactly of an Apple keynote. It was so funny how similar they are, and it really shows kind of the direction that the company is going for. And it really is interesting to draw kind of some parallels between the two companies. Obviously, Synology is so much smaller and so much more niche. But Synology does also do a lot of very similar things to Apple, which is very much like, okay, make everything as simple as possible, almost to a fault sometimes. But this new event actually really got me excited, and it really talked about the new DSM 7.1. So as many of you probably know, DSM 7.0 just came out, and it was really a user update. I'm gonna go ahead and call it that. It was an update for the users. It added in a bunch of great UI things, a bunch of nice packages like photos and things like that, but it was really set up for users in general. There were a lot of business features, don't get me wrong on that, but DSM 7.1 is going to be a business update. There's so many features that they're going to be putting into it that are really designed that only businesses will have some use case for. And you can even see it. They are really working towards, and they even said it in this keynote, they are working towards having solutions for enterprise users. Enterprise users having petabytes of data, that is what they're really working towards. And I think they are on the right track. So first off, one of the biggest ones is going to be what's called DFS support. So DFS is distributed file support. And so that means that actually allows you to have multiple Synologies or multiple file servers distributed across the country. And you can pull from any one of them automatically all through the same portal. And so it just looks like everything's the exact same. It gives geo redundancy as well as a lot faster throughputs there. And so they're working on the ability to have petabytes of data spread out across the country at all these different sites. And then the user just clicks on a file, and if it's not stored on the local NAS, it'll bring it on over. And it's really trying to go for that geosynchronous file server. Then the other thing that's going to be coming that's going to be absolutely awesome is global file locking for C2 Cloud. So probably the biggest limitation right now for C2 Cloud and Drive is the fact that there's not what's called file locking. So file locking is that thing you get when you open up a Word document that somebody else is editing on a network share that tells you, hey, so-and-so is currently editing this document. Do you want to open it as read-only or save as a different file? This way you don't have a conflict and have two people save over each other's work. And so right now that does not exist in C2 Cloud. So those are some of the true enterprise features that they're really shooting for, and they really are trying to expand outward. They're also having out-of-band management, which pretty much means you've got a small computer within the NAS that is purely designed to run the computer essentially. It allows you to log into a portal when the NAS is off and be able to see things like turning it on, seeing what the net reports are doing. And so if the NAS crashes or is unresponsive or anything like that, and you can't get to DSM, which is incredibly unlikely, but could still happen, then you're able to get to this out-of-band management portal and be able to reboot the NAS like that. And that's actually already coming. It's actually already in the DS3622XS Plus model. It's basically a 12-bay desktop model that has that out-of-band management portal, which I'm really excited to get into and start messing with. This is Synology showing the industry, hey, we can start actually building stuff that only enterprise units need. Now there are also a ton of awesome features that I'm really excited about that is on the more business and even to a degree the personal level, but still focused more on larger organizations that can take this. So the first off is going to be SMB multi-channel. So as you may have heard me say multiple times on this channel, do not go through and enable SMB multi-channel. It's still in an alpha. It is not ready. It's not been released. You could get some data corruption issues because of a very specific race condition that exists, where if one of the network cables gets unplugged at the wrong time, then it doesn't actually know how to fail. And so you can have data that's corrupted and written over, and it will actually fail silently. And so until that bug gets worked out, don't mess with it unless you are okay with your data getting corrupted, which most people should not be. but now it is coming full-blown to Synology NAS. And so it looks like Synology was able to resolve this bug, at least I hope so if they're going to be putting it in DSM, but I assume it's a lot easier for them to just make sure this race condition does not exist on their limited operating system, rather than Samba, who has to have this package work across multiple boxes, including Linux, macOS, FreeBSD. So many things require Samba. You don't want one of them to have a race condition that has an issue. And so that's probably why they were able to implement it, or they also could know something we don't, and that they actually know that SMB multi-channel is going to be good to go by then. But what SMB multi-channel is it allows you to have multiple Ethernet cables all basically be aggregated together to get throughput. So it's similar to link aggregation, but actually works on a single client level. So if I have two 10 gigabit connections going into my Synology and two 10 gigabit connections going into my Mac, I'll be able to enable SMB multi-channel and actually get 20 gigabits of throughput on my Mac. And so with link aggregation, this was not possible. Instead, you would just get two 10 gigabit connections. So if you had two users, they could both get a 10 gig connection, but one user would not be able to get 20 gigs. But now with SMB multi-channel, this will be enabled. This is going to be especially useful for those DS smaller models that have 2 and 4 gigabit Ethernet ports on the back, because it will allow you to start actually going faster speeds than what is really the biggest bottleneck right now on a Synology is that gigabit network cable. The next stuff was a huge addition to what's coming to macOS. So macOS is now getting full active backup for business with bare metal support, as well as the ability to have Synology Drive sync on demand. These are two features that I have been waiting on forever because they're both incredibly useful for me. I love Synology Drive, especially on Windows machines. It allows you to have basically a terabyte volume in Synology Drive, and you can just easily double click on a file, and if it's not saved locally on the computer, it'll just download it. It makes it so easy and so much more flexible for using Drive. I'm especially excited to set this up for Lightroom photography, where you can have access on the road to your entire catalog without messing around with a VPN server and having to go SMB over a VPN connection, which is just really slow. Instead, you'll have ultra fast Drive access to your entire catalog. It'll be so nice. I'm really excited about that. The other thing is the active backup for business for macOS. I'm really excited for. Active backup for business on Linux and Windows is just so well thought out, and it works so well that I think it's just going to be so nice. I love Time Machine, but Time Machine was great 10 years ago. Time Machine has not had an update in a very long time that's really made it more performant or given you really much more use out of it. And in my opinion, it's kind of lagged behind the other options that are out there. Now, Active Backup for Business is just so easy to restore files, and it's so much faster than Time Machine, and I think it just works a lot better. I'm really excited for that to come out. And now there are a ton more features there, and they're really striving to get that business stuff up and running. And so you can go ahead and check out those videos. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. But yeah, so that's what I'm really excited about. They also announced some new NAS units that I'm gonna go ahead and do another video on. They'll probably be coming out right after this. All right, well, go ahead and leave any other tutorials you'd like to see me making Synology NAS. Have a good one. Bye.